Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Ahmed at Altcoin Era. I want to say thank you very much for the warm and kind words. I really appreciate it. I'm recovering, slightly getting a bit better, but the show must go on. So make sure you like, subscribe, and join our private members. Let's begin. I was telling folks to buy here, all the way here. I was telling folks to buy. Instead, all I saw was fear-mongering and doomsday predictions. In hindsight, all of that is going to look ridiculous. It looks ridiculous now. When risk came knocking on their door, where were they? They were nowhere to be seen.
So I was right. I took a rash of shit for 2 years, but I was right. And everyone was wrong. And yeah, I got a bonus check for it. Sue me. You know? It's a lot of money. I get it. I can feel you judging me. That's palpable. But hey, I never said I was the hero of this story.
Bitcoin typically doesn't behave like that. When majority of the crowd is anticipating lower prices, what normally tends to happen is it tends to go up. Way too many folks are looking at this trend line over here. Too many people. And even this trend here, way too many folks are looking at these trend lines. We're probably going to go up higher before we see any downturn. Bitcoin is doing really well in this huge, massive uncertainty. Bitcoin is going to my target. The road to 94K continues. I told you months ago, weeks ago, while your favorite influencer was uncertain. Bitcoin is currently at $93,748. This was huge. This was massive. So you're wondering what on earth happened here. This was clearly a short squeeze. During this period, they don't close their shorts. So they all got liquidated. The good news is we're back in this area right here. The bad news is that this wasn't real organic buyers. Okay, this wasn't really spot buying. Of course, we need to retest these areas and get confirmed buyers to step in. I did say multiple times on my channel that we're going to find liquidations at 100K. Now we could find an area of liquidations around 89,000 US dollars to form a base. We're going to have a look at the 3-month chart. There is a considerable amount of liquidations sitting at 99. My target still stands. And we're heading higher in the medium term. If we have a look at the heat map, there is a massive amount of liquidations sitting at 99,000 and 100,000 US dollars. What do you think? Do you think we're heading to 100K? This is the death cross, and we saw this a few weeks back. We normally rally into the death cross. As you can see here, we rallied and continued to rally into the death cross. We formed a lower high and then we made a double bottom or a higher low. We could see something similar. We rally into a death cross and then we find a base, form a golden cross and slowly form higher highs and higher lows. Just like this example, we rallied into the death cross, then we formed a golden cross and then we formed higher highs. I think most of us have been in crypto for quite some time. When you least expect it, Bitcoin goes for a rally. Now everyone's thinking, yeah, we're going to make all-time new highs. I guess everyone's starting to become bullish. They're thinking that crypto is decoupled from stocks. That may be the case, but Bitcoin has to figure out, am I a safety asset, a safety play, or am I a tech play?
Welcome back. Not a lot of green on the screen today, as you know. However, you probably didn't look at Bitcoin. Janae McKeel did, and she's here. It's up 3%. What do you make of the way that this has been trading? It's decoupled, obviously, from the NASDAQ, which was a trend for a while. How do you see it?
Something that people were looking for all month, because if you go back to earlier this month, it really was trading in line with stocks. It just was not seeing the big, pops and drops that, one, we're used to seeing out of Bitcoin, and two, it is outperforming the S&P. It has not really caught up with gold, the leading safe haven. But I think you are seeing evidence, not just. I think that the obvious and easy narrative would be that we're talking about Fed independence today. So Bitcoin is kind of acting as that hedge against political uncertainty. But I also think that it's not just enthusiasm; it's also exhaustion. You're seeing people, investors wanting to, get back into risk, but just maybe not the type of risk that's tied to earnings or Fed policy.
You got a quick thought?
I do. Look, you've got a president who's very interested, and his family's very interested in Bitcoin doing well, and crypto doing well. And I think you're close to regulation or some positive announcements on policy, and that's what's driving it.
It's evidence, Bitcoin's supportive nature is evidence that we have not had a deleveraging event. Because you have a deleveraging event, everything's going down.
Well, it has underperformed the S&P and NASDAQ overall since the peak. Recently, though, to your point, it is trading pretty well, up from 82 just a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
Real quick, last thought?
I think one of the hardest things for investors is to wrap their heads around the fact that day to day it does trade like a risk asset, but medium long term it trades like a safe haven. If you look at gold's outperformance, that kind of can act as an indicator of where Bitcoin heads when the dust kind of settles.
Majority of participants are definitely blindsided. They didn't expect this to happen. We can either continue and really cause folks to FOMO. Yeah, we can continue to go up higher and higher and higher, which is unlikely. I think what we're going to do is we're going to find a floor price around these areas. If you're looking to buy back in, then look for retracements around here. We're going to form a lower high. Once that happens, ladies and gentlemen, I can see this go up to higher prices. Let's have a look at the order books. And the good sign is that participants were actually buying there were a lot of bids during this area. Whenever you see these colors right over here, ladies and gentlemen, it means that participants are selling into strength. Over here, they're buying into weakness. I don't want to really get too deep and technical, but it means that they're basically buying into weakness. And here, if you look very closely, we have some selling into strength. So clearly there are participants beginning to sell into strength, which means this could be another rally. If it wasn't the case, then they would continue to buy into weakness. You would see more bids than asks. Bitcoin looks very good, broke past all of its EMAs, its SMAs, 200 moving averages, literally everything basically. This bull market support band is above it. What we're going to do is we have to retest the bull market support band, guys. We have to. This happened right over here. We retested the bull market support band and then we headed up higher as a confirmation. We rarely see it just continue to go up higher and higher and higher and higher. That is not the case, ladies and gentlemen, especially in this economic market when the macro looks very confusing for many participants. I wasn't confused. I still knew. I still could see clearly what will happen next. Remember, I bought around COVID. This is a walk in the park for me. This right here, right up here, when everyone thought the entire world will fall apart, I was buying. Okay, so this is just a walk in the park. Whatever happens regarding China, America, it's nothing to me. It's really nothing. So let's look at altcoins. Altcoins, unfortunately, are not catching bids. There are some altcoins that are performing well. However, they're not really following Bitcoin. I'm not picking on anyone, but let's have a look at Mint Layer, for example. Mint Layer in the past week has been going downwards, whereas Bitcoin has been forming higher highs and higher lows. Big difference between altcoins and Bitcoin. I can show you a plethora of different altcoins that are really not catching bids at the moment. This is Theta right here. Remember Theta? It's not catching any bids, guys. It's forming lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Some of these altcoins are really underperforming. And it's no surprise because Bitcoin dominance is gone through the roof again. It's gone up higher. Bitcoin is literally gobbling up all the liquidity. It's turned previous resistance into support, which means, look at this, I can't even make this up. This looks like gold. This looks like the gold chart. It continues to go up higher and higher and higher and higher. Yes, there is pockets of altcoins that are definitely outperforming. I've given you a few examples. In my private members, I've told them about that. I've taken profits here from Solana. We made massive gains and it continues to go up higher and higher. There are pockets, but majority of altcoins, unfortunately, are showing weakness against Bitcoin. The good news is this. Altcoin season index. I've been following this for how long now? For how long, folks? It's at 18. What does that mean? That means historically, it's one of the best times to actually buy altcoin. Periods like this normally means that the market is completely exhausted. Altcoins have sold off so much. Participants have sold so much altcoins. It's exhausted. There's no more sellers left. There are some pockets where altcoins do outperform. As you can see here, in the past 2 days, it's outperformed Bitcoin. It's gone up 101%. There are other coins in my private members that have really performed, really performed. So you've got to be careful in which coins to buy. Yeah, it's very important, very important. Or you're going to be left behind. Either buy Bitcoin, take on less risk, or buy the right altcoins. Why are you buying altcoins with more risk and they're not even performing? They're not even outperforming. Matter of fact, they're underperforming. Ethereum is showing some strength, but let's be frank and honest. Ethereum is close to 1,500. A few months ago, Bitcoin was at 100K. Ethereum was almost at 5K. It was at 4,000 US dollars. Fast forward now, and Ethereum's at 1,500. Big difference, guys. This is for demonstration purposes. I do hold a small amount of Aptos. Aptos is clearly showing the market cycle. It's very, very different to the previous cycle. Buying and holding sometimes doesn't work with particular assets. This asset seems to be following altcoin rallies. As you can see here, I'm not making this up. It looks exactly the same. Aptos first came out in 2022, 2023. This period right here, 2022, 2023. It looks, I'm not making this up. It looks identical, doesn't it? This cycle is vastly different. We're due for another altcoin rally now. So what happens to Aptos? We head to this area. Now, it's not going to happen in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks. It might take months. This is not like a quick trade in and out. This takes some time to play out. The point I'm trying to say is this cycle is vastly different to previous cycles. And even the next cycle that follows after this is going to be different, guys. There's going to be new participants. The macro environment is going to be different. The economic landscape is going to be different. So every single cycle is vastly different to the previous cycle. Here are some honorable mentions. This coin went parabolic. It finally broke out. And I can see this get to all-time new highs. It's going to take a while. The volatility is insane. So be careful, guys. We took some profits and we continue to let this ride. Another honorable mention is SU, and it's up by a massive 8.5% already for the day, which is impressive. Bitcoin is barely up by a percentage point. XRP reclaimed this area. However, it's still in a downtrend. We're forming lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and lower lows. We've deviated, broken this. Now we're going against the trend. The trend is starting to change, which is a good sign. We're back in this area, consolidating, and then possibly head up higher. I did tell participants to take some profits. Solana is outperforming Ethereum, which is not a good sign, to be honest. Ethereum is still struggling, folks. It's still struggling. My target for Solana is at $72 to $80. That's when I'm going to buy it. If it doesn't reach there, I'm not fussed, guys. I'm really not fussed. But I've been right many times. I think we're going to probably see another capitulation moment right over here to around $72 to $80. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Wherever you are, good morning, good evening, good night. Peace.